Hello and welcome to my channel, Vibrant Systems. My name is Danielle and you are watching a Building Blocks for Community Building episode. And in this episode, I really want to talk about the importance of dreaming periods, not just on that personal level, but communally, in community as well. And the reason why this is such a salient topic at this time of the year is there's this debate that goes on, right? About whether or not January makes sense as a place to begin a new year. A lot of people go back to cycles where the new year would have been starting in springtime. Sorry, my cat. Where the new year would have been starting in springtime with the crops, with the planting cycles. And that's very valid. I'm not here to say that we shouldn't consider that a beginning of a sort. A lot of new life begins. A lot of first breaths are taken in springtime. But I would like to offer this video as a counterpoint of not to say that there isn't a springtime beginning, but to honor the fact that January is a beginning of a sort too. And our ideas that there's beginnings and endings and they're totally distinct in itself is kind of mistaken. This is a topic that really came to me over the holiday season when I got sick and lost my voice, and you probably can hear a little bit of that still in my voice. We're going to have some shenanigans with the feline today, so I apologize for any interruptions. But I got sick over the holidays, and there was this energy inside me, this conditioning inside me that wanted to charge forward into the new year, wanted to start setting resolutions and planning these big things and taking action on them. And I could not. I did not have the energy. I was exhausted. I could barely think, if I'm being honest. The brain fog of this head cold was very real. What I could do was I could dream because I was resting. I could connect to my inner fire. I could return to that inner hearth. I could slow down, and in that slowing down, in those pauses, I actually had the time to better understand not what resolutions are easy to make or expected to be made at this time of year, but what do I want to pursue? What is my vision, my dream? And this is just as true for me on a personal level. And then I was able to take that lesson into my business, into Vibrant Systems. And 2025 was an amazing year for me in growth, in building the foundation of what I do for work, in understanding who I am and who I want to be as a community mentor, as a contractor in certain cases, or even just as a content creator. I wear many hats. I enjoy doing that. And I learned how to balance these many hats in 2025. The dreaming period, this early January where I'm not quite ready to move forward, but I'm still putting out feelers, feeling into what feels right, what lights me up versus what feels kind of reductive, has been really instrumental because I don't have to act on things right away. There's no one expecting me to have answers or programs or events lined up in this moment. It's a time for a pause, a rest. And in the dreaming, it's okay to dream big. It's okay to dream expansively, to imagine things that may or may not come to pass. Some of them might. But if I wasn't allowing myself the opportunity to imagine these potentialities that are beyond my current capacity, they never would, because I wouldn't be doing the work to expand my capacity if I choose to pursue those dreams. And because I'm doing the work, because I'm taking the time, because I'm honoring this period of rest, letting these roots spread out from these seeds that many of which I planted last year, letting them anchor in the darkness, in this resting period, underneath this blanket of winter snow around where I am, that is making all the difference in the energy that I am moving into 2026 with. And as I was in this process of dreaming for myself, for my business, I began to wonder, as I do, how does this apply to communities? And for those of you who might be new to this channel, community is not a word I use only for like municipalities, towns, villages, cities. I see community as any place, any space where people gather with a shared intention. That can be a club, a sports team, a nonprofit organization, a town, a neighborhood, or even a social media space, even an online meditation circle. And for these communities, I asked myself, what would it be like if dreaming, not strategic planning, but dreaming was baked into our expectations? Because in my work as a consultant, before I really rooted into my authenticity as a community mentor with Vibrant Systems, I saw the rigidity of how towns and municipalities would operate in strategic planning. I saw that it had to be actionable. I saw that the limits were very tight and the focus was on what scarcity there was, what ways they couldn't do it because, oh, the money wasn't there, or the funding's changed this year, there's a different buzzword they're pursuing, this or that, or, oh, we can't plan something this long term because what if we can't fund it the whole time? A lot of it came down to money in those circles. And it's not to say that there aren't real limitations on what we can do. I'm well versed in that. But it also stopped them from expanding in new and exciting ways that may or may not be attached to funding streams that may or may not exist. That sounded a little wordy, so let me say it simply. When we don't allow ourselves to dream, we don't even see what's possible out there. We don't allow ourselves to explore new possibilities or avenues for expansion. We don't use all of our resources because we're focusing on the ones that are limited. And that shift of focus onto scarcity, onto lack, ripples down, trickles down into strategic planning, into the actions these communities were willing to pursue, into the ways they wrote things, into the ways they spoke to the people who lived in those communities. Because there was this energy of scarcity, there was so much less focus on the abundance and the strengths and the relationships that were already there, the connections that could make that community vibrant. And this trend, in a large part, is why I moved away from community consulting, because that lack mindset, that scarcity mindset, really infiltrated my own mindset as a business owner. I felt this huge block going to municipalities and talking about the value of the work I do when I knew in their heads they were thinking about all these scarcities and lack. But the dreaming period is something totally different. It's not strategic. First off, we're not focusing on this actionable item or plan. We're not worrying about how we're going to make it happen. We're simply allowing ourselves to imagine what could exist one day. What do we want to exist one day? What would be amazing to see? What do we want to start nurturing? What could happen years and years in the future even, if we let ourselves imagine something new? and to do so in an environment that is restful, that's not restricted to a single facilitation session like a visioning session might be, totally shifts the energy that this dreaming happens in. And you might be surprised, right? You might say a dream and find out that somebody in your community space already has the skills to make it happen. It's actually really easy. But we'll never know if we don't actually make a point of building this space without expectations to voice these desires, these dreams that we have. And I think, too, as I've been mulling with these ideas on a very personal level and a very independent individual level, it speaks to the ways that we need to decolonize our community spaces, because it's this colonial construct of we have to do XYZ, we have to be linear, we have to be able to take action on these things, and it has to be valuable in certain ways, is restrictive. There are dreams out there, there are visions out there that can dramatically improve people's lives, people's sense of purpose, people's sense of empowerment, that have nothing to do with money. There are ways we can connect or events we can see that could be created entirely from the talents in our community already, and we don't have to hire people outside of our community to make that happen. There are skills we can learn and share in our community that don't require getting Joe Blow from the best corporation ever to teach us them. But we won't know. We won't know if we don't give ourselves the opportunity to talk about these things. And again, in this colonial structure, we're not given this opportunity unless it can be operationalized to be used in a very specific way. I'm seeing in my head this concept of people gathering for a meal and just letting themselves speak about the good they want to see. Not focusing on the bad, not focusing on the tragedy or the grief. There is time to think about those too, and they should be honored. I'm not saying they shouldn't be. But what if we created a space, a time, a ceremony of honoring what we want to see, what we would love to change, how we would want to grow, the abundance we can imagine having? What would change? And if this was a practice, if we weren't trying to put barriers of realistic on these dreams, if we weren't trying to focus on, oh, but we can't make that happen, what dreams might actually come out? If you're still watching, leave your dream in the comments below. I want to hear it, because we need dreamers in this society. We need hope. We need this willingness to see a different way. I know that's one of the things I have to remind myself as a business owner with Vibrant Systems. When I think back to many of the municipalities that I've worked with in the past, and I start to fall back into that scarcity mindset, I need to remind myself that community builders, community champions, and communities are not only in this one singular existence. They are also more expansive, and there's more and more people like you who want to build the kinds of communities that I would love to work with, the kinds that are transformative, that kinds that are resilient and adaptable and emergent to the environments that they live in and the relationships they are a part of. These communities are existing, they're growing, they're expanding, and we need to let ourselves imagine them. Otherwise, we're going to stop ourselves before we even have the chance to make it an anchored, sustainable reality. And so for me, dreaming isn't just a way to pass the time. It's not just something that sounds nice or that's fun or that, makes my heart happy. It is all those things too, but it's an act of defiance. It's a rebellion. It's empowerment. It's taking agency over the future I'm allowed to imagine. Because there are so many reasons why we are told not to imagine a good future or that it can't get better than it is. There are many, many reasons we're told that. This is a rebellion to decide something totally new and totally different and totally rooted in my values, my vision. And yes, I know my dream working with other people is not going to happen exactly the way I imagine it. It's not. And that's okay. Because part of my vision, part of my values is being able to work with people like you to bring all of these dreams into some semblance of being, to make those transformations possible. Even though when we're dreaming of them in this restful period, they might feel out of reach. Let's sit with that energy for a bit. Let's sit with that expansive energy of possibility, of wonder, of dreaming. For myself, I see a lot of my dreams becoming possible through the connections I make. Not just to myself, although that is a connection I hold very dear, but also connections to others, to my family, to be able to connect with them in a way that honors my authenticity and their capacity, honors my boundaries and also the relationship we build, to connect to potential business partners or communities that would like to work with me, to connect with people on my content creation, whether it's here or on Facebook and Instagram, to connect to the environment. I had learned so much about community building and about balance within myself from just observing the natural world. And part of my passion is to create sustainable communities that respect these relationships and connections in the ecosystems around us. That's something I'm passionate about. And it's in these connections that possibilities for the impossible start to emerge. It's where our resilience is. It's where our capacity exponentially increases, because the wholeness of our connections is greater than the sum of all its parts. And I truly believe that is a truth we have to root into when we do community work. If you're feeling this energy like I am, like I'm buzzing right now, I would encourage you, if you'd like, you can check out the Transforming Communities guidebook in my Vibrant shop. It walks through this process from community intention to values to that visioning process, to your mission, and then to your strategic plan when you're ready to get there, when you're ready to make it real. It's a short guidebook, but it's rich with not only tools and reflections to guide you, but also my personal experiences doing this work myself. It's an excellent resource for anybody walking this community building pathway. And if you would like to work with me specifically, I encourage you to reach out to me. You can either leave a comment asking me to get in touch with you or email me directly at danielle.vibrantsystems@gmail.com. Thank you for watching this video to this point. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, please like the video. It helps me a lot expand my reach and reach more people who have these same passions. And I think that's that. My name's Danielle. Let's make your story a vibrant one.